answer the bell. Now let's go.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yow here alongside Mo Patton on this Thursday edition. Man, what a day it is! It is and has been it's cold start to February. It feels like we've done this before, though. I really feel like this day has just happened multiple times in a row. No, only kidding. It is Groundhog Day. So how are you feeling on this Groundhog Day? Did you wake up and see your shadow, Mo? 6 more weeks of hibernating? No, you didn't wake up at all? Can you hear me?
I can. I had some echoing or reverb or something going on. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm feeling fine to answer your question that I heard at least twice, maybe more. So yeah, I'm good.
Man,
it's Thursday.
That it is. And looking forward to a long day of tons of sports tonight. If you're into local sports, we've got a lot of games that will be happening. Some that are, being made up from Tuesday and then Wednesday, right. And then they just kept getting pushed off. I'm not sure if Montgomery County schools are playing tonight. They've been pushing games off, but we'll see. Some college games, Ole Miss, Tennessee ladies tonight. So that's kind of a big deal. We got a lot to get to, and we've got a great show lined up. We're going to talk about the NFLPA released their top 5 rankings today by each position. It's a joke, and that should be fun.
Okay.
Well, at least 2 positions are a joke. Maybe 3. We'll get to it. We'll get to the AP top 10 polls or AP polls. Top 10 for Division I, top 5 for Division II in both boys and girls. We'll talk with Chandler TYGARD, who is finishing up his last day at Blackman today and headed to Cleveland to become their football coach next year. And we'll talk to Preds on Bally, the voice, Willie DAUNIC, talk a little bit about the Preds and what they've got to do in the second half of the season to find their way into the postseason. All of that, Vols, hoops, and more. So plenty to get to.
Hoops?
No.
Okay.
I mean,
then maybe we won't.
It's only going to make us angry. But we'll get to as much as we can today. Before we do anything else, though, we'll give you yesterday's results and today's schedule. Best we know it on the Rundown.
This is the Rundown.
In girls high school basketball action from Wednesday night, Ezel Harding defeated Davidson Academy 57-45. Blackman with a 66-34 win over Oakland. Page defeated Spring Hill 59-26. It was Ravenwood 45, Columbia Central 38. Richland with a 69-18 win over Santa Fe. Rockvale defeated Riverdale 68-28. And it was Summit 57, Siegel 33.
On the boys' side, Davidson Academy down to Ezel Harding 67-51. Oakland 53-50 winners over Blackman. It was Page 47, Spring Hill 45, and Ravenwood down Columbia Central 51-45. Richland with a big top 10 win over Santa Fe 61-47. It was Rockville 65, Riverdale 63, and Summit 52-49 winners over Siegel. A lot of really good games on the boys' side last night, score-wise. Men's basketball action at the collegiate level. Florida defeated Tennessee 67-54, and Murray State gets the 1-point win over Belmont at home 83-82, and the Grizzlies fell to the Trailblazers 122-112. Not a great week so far for basketball teams in Tennessee, Mo.
No, and not a great homecoming for the Grizzlies after that West Coast trip. So interesting stuff. Obviously, Steven Adams out for them, but yeah, that's a tough loss last night for them. Tonight, high school basketball doubleheader action. All of these are 6 o'clock starts. Columbia Academy is at Battleground Academy. Smyrna is at Cane Ridge. Clarksville Northwest hosts West Creek. Spring Hill goes to Cornersville. Culleoka hosts Hampshire. Donaldson Christian takes on visiting Clarksville Academy. Lancaster Christian is at Lighthouse Christian at Antioch. Mount Pleasant goes to Loretto. Murfreesboro Central is at Martin Luther King. Grace Christian Academy of Franklin is at Middle Tennessee Christian. Riverside Christian hosts Zion Christian. Clarksville Northeast goes to Rossview. White House Heritage is at Sycamore. STEM Academy is at Trousdale County. And in a girls-only game at 5:30, Christ Presbyterian Academy goes to Harford Hall.
College basketball double headers tonight, 5 o'clock on ESPN Plus. You can catch the Tennessee State women at Southern Indiana, followed by the men. Women's only this afternoon at 4 o'clock on ESPN Plus. Austin P is at Bellarmine, and Lipscomb is at Eastern Kentucky. Both of those at 4 o'clock. At 5:30, Ole Miss visits the Lady Vols in Thompson Bowling Arena. You can see it on SEC Network. At 6:30, Murray State is at Belmont. That's on ESPN Plus. Number 21 ranked MTSU is at UTEP. That's an 8 p.m. tip, and I think it's on CUSA TV, but it is not anywhere else. So that's unfortunate. And the Vanderbilt women will be at Missouri at 8 o'clock. That's also on SEC Network. Men's action tonight. Liberty's at Austin P. 7 o'clock tip on ESPN Plus. Also at 7 on ESPN Plus. Queens is at Lipscomb. The MTSU men will be on television tonight nationally as they take on visiting Miners of Texas El Paso on ESPNU. That game tips at 8 o'clock. And the Grizzlies left home last night, headed to Cleveland, where they take on the Cavaliers. It's a 6:30 tip, and it's nationally televised on TNT. And that is your rundown. All right, top story today coming to you from the NFL front office ranks. Longtime NFL executive, but also father to local folks, Zion Christian football coach Kurt Beathard, and songwriter Casey Beathard, who last I saw resided in Spring Hill. So there's that. But Bobby Beathard passed away at the age of 86 earlier this week, Mo.
Yeah, passed away Monday. According to the Washington Post, Casey disclosed that Bobby's death Monday was from complications from Alzheimer's. 2018 inductee into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Bobby Beathard worked for the Dolphins when they won a Super Bowl. Worked for the Washington football team during the 80s when they were really enjoying their heyday, and went to the Super Bowl with the Chargers as well in the mid-90s. So this guy was the key to success for a handful of NFL franchises during the time that he spent in those endeavors. So big impact on the league. Obviously, again, a 2018 Hall of Fame inductee, and as you mentioned, father of Zion Christian football coach Kurt Beathard, local songwriter Casey Beathard, and a third son, Jeff, has been a longtime NFL scout. He had been with the Panthers for a while. I think he's now with Washington as well. And obviously his grandson is CJ Beathard, who now plays for the Jacksonville Jaguars after playing his high school ball at Battleground Academy and at Iowa at the collegiate level. So Bobby Beathard passed away Monday at 86. Services are yet to be announced for him, but It's expected to happen to take place in Franklin, around Franklin. It's where he had been living for quite some time with most of the family here in town.
Yes, it's crazy how much, how many folks live in Middle Tennessee. You just don't think about it. And Bobby Beathard is a legend, obviously, Hall of Famer in the National Football League, and his family, from sons to grandsons, all finding their way to Middle Tennessee. And obviously Kurt doing a great job down at Zion Christian. They had a heck of a year in 8-man ball. So
yeah, it was really interesting. I had a chance to meet Bobby a few years back at a Mr. Football luncheon when Ravenwood receiver Van Jefferson was up for that award, because Van's dad, Sean, was drafted by Bobby in San Diego.
how about that?
So it's really cool.
And the wheels on the bus go round and round.
And yeah, it's a small world after all.
There's no kidding there. No kidding. Well, our thoughts go out to the Beathard family. Obviously, they've dealt with their share of tragedy in the last couple of years. So, everyone knows about, the grandson who was killed in Nashville. But what some may not know is that, Casey's wife dealt with breast cancer and passed away a couple of years ago as well. So it's been a tough go for that family in recent years. So our thoughts and are with the Beathard family for sure. And we hope that that Bobby is remembered well, as he should be. So.
No doubt.
All right, that's going to take us to our first break of the day. A little early today because we've got a guest who's standing by already. So we want to get to him as quickly as we can on Coach's Corner. Chandler TYGARD, who is the new Cleveland football coach, outgoing Blackman coach. So we'll talk to him on the other side of the break here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Y'all stick with us. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com. Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. It's time for Coach's Corner, presented by our friends at From the Heart Cafe out in Chapel Hill. That's Renee Hart and the fine folks keeping you fed and happy, whether it's breakfast from the breakfast barn or catering, bringing you lunch to your office, or whatever it may be. If you're just looking for a great lunch spot, if you're on a trip to Henry Horton State Park, you can stop in on your way in or on your way out and grab a delicious burger, delicious desserts, sandwiches, everything that you can think of. She's doing a pretty good job out there, so don't forget that. And now you can also order online. Mo, you got the address for that? Is it fromtheheartcafe.com?
I do not have the address for that, but I imagine if you search for From the Heart Cafe, you can come up with it.
Well, and the reason that I don't have it is because the last time I tried to go to their, tried to Google it, all I got was their Facebook page. So I'm sure it's available on Facebook.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Just check out their Facebook page.
That may be your best bet. Right.
Yep.
There.
So there you go. From the Heart Cafe out in Chapel Hill, Renee Hart and the fine folks doing that. We go now to our guest, new Cleveland football coach Chandler TYGARD joins us now. And Coach, welcome in. How are you?
Good. How's it going, guys?
Doing well, Coach. Appreciate you taking some time with us. Is the Jumpman 23 headed southeast as well?
We're meeting on that as we speak right now, so we'll see. I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but I'm a big fan of that stuff.
I understand, and I bet the kids are too. Hey, congratulations on the move. After 2 seasons at Blackman, going 15-8 over those 2 seasons, a berth in the Class 6A state quarterfinals this past season. On the move to one of the storied football programs in this state, I guess, Cleveland High School. I think they won 3 straight championships in like 91, 92, 93, I believe it was, under Benny Monroe. And, like I said, just one of the more storied programs across this state. And I would imagine that had to play a major role in your interest in that position, Chandler.
Honestly, guys, I love Blackman. This is a really special place. It's my last day today as I'm here. But they just happened to call me out the blue, and then I started doing some digging into it. And I actually talked to Coach Monroe and talked to a lot of people down there before I took the job. And it just has a lot of advantages. It's a one city school system. And so football coaches kind of know what that means, to where you've got, just one high school, and you're not having to deal with some of the things that you have to deal with in larger counties with multiple high schools,
Yeah, that's a big thing in Alabama, not so much here in Tennessee. You know that.
Yep. And I came up from Alabama. And so then when you start naming the one city high schools, you're talking Thompson and Hoover's 2 high schools, but, a city school system, Hewitt, Trussville, Mountain Brook, Vestavia Hills, Saraland just won the 6A title in Alabama and basically did a similar deal as Cleveland, just built some really nice facilities and went all in on football. And, you've got some different deals where you can pay tuition and, you can go to school there from outside the school zones. And it's just got a lot of advantages. And, that's when you go outside the state of Tennessee, you see a lot of those one city school systems. And then inside our own state, you've got, Maryville and Alcoa. So Cleveland is set up like that. And then, I just wanted to see that it was vertically aligned from boosters, superintendent, principal, AD, all the way down to football coach. And then it was the opportunity to be the first head of football operations, which is including the Little League, middle school, high school. And so then we can make sure everybody's running the same thing from Little League all the way up. And all the coaches at those respective spots are all on board for what we're doing, which is a pretty neat opportunity for me too.
So a kid in the 1st grade in Cleveland knows he's going to be at Cleveland High School when he gets to high school.
I'm not sure exactly how all that works, but I know this: a kid that plays in Cleveland Youth League football is going to be running the same things as Cleveland High School football, and they're going to be, set up to be a Blue Raider their entire course of their career.
Yeah, and that it makes sense to do that. We hear about that so many times about how you have to build on, you start at the 5-6-year-old level, how you're building the foundation of how to line up. And then the next year you're learning how to block and tackle. And the next year you implement some of the formations, and then you just kind of build on that. And when you have a foundation like that, that is a massive deal. And like, to Mo's point, saying that, you don't have to worry about where you live. If you live in Cleveland, you're going to Cleveland. You don't have to worry about, well, if I live in this neighborhood, I might have to go to this, high school or whatever. Yeah. It's a foundation from bottom to top.
Yeah, you can choose to. Basically, if you can find a way to Cleveland, if that's where you want to go to school, similar to Maryville and Alcoa set up. And exactly what you're talking about. We talked about it when I was meeting with the Cleveland people, basically indoctrinating them in our style of play from kindergarten all the way up. So I don't know if I've ever seen hurry up Little League football, but we're about to see if it can be done, and they will be used to running plays as fast as they can go from the time they're in my 7-year-old's age all the way up through high school. So by the time they hit high school, they'll be ready to go fast, I guess.
That makes me want to come to Cleveland and watch a 7- and 8-year-old football game, because that sounds kind of intriguing. Josh Heupel meets youth league, I guess, right?
We'll see if I don't know if it can be done, Mo, honestly, telling you the truth. But we're going to see if it can. And, honestly, though, you just kind of start introducing the basics and fundamentals of what we do for our high school program down with the Little League. And then you make sure that they've had a successful middle school program already. They had 87 kids on the middle school team last year. But that no matter who the coach is there and no matter, who's in there, everybody is aligned, whether it's Little League, middle school, high school, principal, athletic director, superintendent of the entire city school system, school board members, booster clubs. Everybody is all in on Cleveland football. And then when you start realizing the kind of financial capacity that they have there, I don't know if you guys are familiar with, what's down there and how nice the wrestling setup is and how nice the basketball. It's not a gym, it's a Raider arena. And imagine they've got a turf field and a jumbotron, but imagine if we're all in on football, what can get done there. And you've seen stuff like that happen at Gainesville, Georgia here recently. And so it was just a big opportunity, something that you couldn't really turn down, especially for, a younger head coach like me. And it's a lot of work. A lot of stuff needs to get aligned, but they're all in on football. So that's all I needed to hear.
And it's interesting that you say that as we speak with former Blackman high school football coach Chandler TYGARD, now the coach at Cleveland, on Coach's Corner, presented by From the Heart Cafe out in Chapel Hill, because obviously the job had to be open for you to take it, Chandler. And, Cleveland's had some turnover here in the last little bit. Was that a concern for you? I mean, you're replacing Marty Wheeler, who I think was there 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah,
he was there from 19 to 22, so that's 4 seasons.
Okay, Scott Cummings was there briefly ahead of him. There's been some guys in and out of there. Was that a point of discussion as you went down and went through this process?
Honestly, Mo, when I took the Blackman job, it was the same thing. And, a lot of people told me not to go to Blackman because of the principal, Dr. Justice. And, you got to play Oakland, you got to do these things, and there's all these disadvantages. And so, I just came in, I make my own decisions, and I absolutely love Dr. Justice. She's since retired. So we have a new principal here, but, you just make your own decisions and you go down there and you see the people, and it's a completely different administration than those past coaches. The principal, Mr. Pritchard's only been there a year. Al Morris was the head wrestling coach at Tullahoma. He's been the AD for less than a year. And, when you're hearing from the superintendent, school board members, booster clubs, people that are some of the largest boosters for the University of Tennessee, and they're all aligned and ready to win football games, and they're going to give you the keys, and here's what you can do. And then I went in there saying, this is what needs to be done. I'm not coming without all of these. And then they just say, okay, go. So when everybody gets in order and decides they want to win football games, I mean, why not? Cleveland wrestling is nationally known. They travel all over the place. They go to Iowa, they go to Florida, they go to Texas. They've got, they've won, I think 6 or 7, or I can't even remember how many straight dual state championships. They're up there this weekend in Franklin. So if Cleveland wrestling has done it on a national scale that we're trying to do for football, why not Cleveland football? And the more you start kind of digging into it, you realize, let's see if we can do this thing.
Well, you mentioned it, Chandler, about, one of the things that you don't necessarily want to have to do is play Oakland every year and play in this district or region and cross region over here, but doesn't exactly get easier. I mean, you do have Maryville in your region.
And when I came to Blackman, I didn't look at you have to play Oakland as a negative. Like I came here to play Oakland, and I got to play Coach Creasy, and me and him had a lot of mutual respect for each other and got along well in this city. And so it's not like I'm going to Cleveland to get away from that. You're still going to see him in the semifinals. Mm-hmm. And so if you get through Maryville and, they're Bradley Central in the region that Cleveland's in, you still got Oakland in the semis. So I said, I'm not just trying to do Blackman East. I'm trying to find something that gives us a better opportunity to compete with Oakland. And I think that the city school system and the setup and the being able to just set it up from youth league, middle school, high school together, it gives us an advantage that we didn't necessarily have at Blackman.
Sure. And I think that's a massive, massive deal. Now your schedule is already set for the next couple of years. You didn't get a hand in putting that together, but obviously that's not something you're too worried about. You're just going to go out there and play the teams in front of you and do the best you can to put your team in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean the schedule was set for me at Blackman when I took over. So the schedule set at Cleveland. We got to play Maryville on fall break. That was set by the state association.
Of course you do.
Of course we do. That's not a fan of that. We're going to Clinton for the week 1 game. So all that was done beforehand. But honestly, guys, we're trying to build a program, not just one year team. And similar to a lot of the things we did at Blackman. It's just this is a really wonderful place, Blackman is, and it would have taken something special to get me out of here, and I had no plans on getting out of here. Really sad to leave. A bunch of my best friends in the world are, Colonel Gaylord with the JROTC, and what we've done here with the cheer team and the band and all the great relationships. So that part's really hard today. But at the same time, from a football standpoint, you just got to go to work and see if you fix everything and you get a city and a community that is, y'all know, they're starving for success, and you can start to have some success and show that we're on the right track. And you've got a school that built a basketball arena. They could build a lot of nice things for football if we decide to. So, that's kind of the plan. It's just, let's hit the ground running and start the feeder programs and get them going and see what happens from there.
Chandler TYGARD, the new Cleveland high school football coach, joining us here on Coach's Corner, presented by From the Heart Cafe in Chapel Hill. Chandler, I'm always fascinated when coaches take over programs, regardless of the sport. Do you look at film? Do you look at the athletes that you're inheriting, or do you just kind of go in and want your first impression of them to be live and what you see, as opposed to seeing them in somebody else's system or seeing anything prior to your arrival?
I'd say you do turn it on, and you got to see, what's kind of the base level of athlete. Cleveland historically has put out some players, not to the level of Blackman. And so it's different. So you do have to change your schemes. But at the same time, just know if you go in there and you run your program the way that you want to run it, and with all these different advantages, you just know that it's gonna work out. So what we do at Blackman, we played an attractive brand of football, and we had a lot of good success putting out the college players, and signed 3 Power 5 kids, and quarterback went down to Tulane, and you can take our offense and kind of do it at a lot of places. And so we're hoping when you take it down to Cleveland and a Chattanooga area, and with all the advantages of that city school system, let's see what can happen. And then especially when they've been running it since they were in 7U. So we'll see how it goes from there.
That means you got to stay long enough for those 7 U's to get there.
Well, I mean, honestly, what they're doing, man, we didn't plan on leaving here. But at the same time, the deal we're getting there is pretty awesome for my family. And, we're just excited, and camp's going to be, my 7-year-old is going to be involved in all that. And then they've got youth wrestling and a lot of good stuff. And the cost of living, man, it's a lot better than Murfreesboro, brother.
Without question.
So it's going to be an awesome opportunity. And we're really excited that Cleveland's basically giving us the keys to this and saying, go. Truthfully, guys, like I don't know. I mean, I'm not deserving of what we're getting down there. But at the same time, somebody's got to do it. So we'll go down there and see if we can get it figured out.
Hey, if they're going to give it to somebody, it might as well be you, right?
You're not the first one that said that to me. So, it is what it is. And let's figure it out and see if we can get this train rolling.
Awesome. Chandler TYGARD, the Cleveland high school football coach, joining us here on on Coach's Corner, presented by From the Heart. And he's got some boxes to pack, I guess. So, yeah. Chandler, we'll let you get back to it, man. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Yeah, my 7-year-old, he's getting off the bus for the last time right now, coming over from Blackman Elementary to the high school. So it's a tough day, and it's sad to see everybody here. But hopefully we're going to meet again in the semifinals, and you guys will get to cover us, and we'll get to see the Blackman people again. And I can't wait to see them have great success, and I know they'll be just fine. So I'm not too worried about them. And hopefully we'll just start meeting up some more. So it'll be hard though when you see somebody else leading out the team through the big banner we got and the flames on the helmets and all that. So it is a tough day for us, but hopefully we'll meet up here in the semifinals, and we'll see all y'all here again soon.
Sounds good, Chandler. We appreciate your time, man.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all.
All right.
That's Chandler TYGARD on Coach's Corner, presented by From the Heart Cafe. Mo, real quick, as I am looking through the regions here. Okay. Yeah. They've got Bearden, Bradley, Farragut, Hardin Valley, and Maryville. Yeah.
I mean, it's not Oakland, but like you said, there is Maryville. Bearden has had some success. Farragut's had some success. They're back up from 5A, I think, or maybe they were in 6A this past classification period as well, but they have kind of bounced back and forth. But, there aren't any slouches in that region. So
no, not at all. So that's going to be a tough row there. Tough row.
No doubt.
We need to hand out some hardware, which we have
Let's
available
do it.
to us. So we go now to the In to Win Life Team of the Week, presented by Custom Stone Handlers. And of course, if you need whatever kind of rock there may be, the Rock Man can help you out. And outside of the military, the greatest leader building platform is sports, and Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. Give them a call, 931-490-4990, CustomStonehandlers.com. The team of the week, Mo?
Team of the week went 2-2 last week, but one of those 2 wins was a 52-48 double overtime victory to snap a 9-game losing skid to that opponent. The Spring Hill Raiders are our In-to-Win Life Team of the Week after defeating Columbia Central in the McDonald's shootout Saturday night. That win followed a 66-28 win against Tullahoma in District 8 3A play. So Jimmy Young's Raiders are our In-to-Win Life Team of the Week.
I keep looking at their scores, and if you just go down their schedule and look at the scores, they are so close, and they're one of those teams that they can put it together on any given night. So you better watch out in the district tournament kind of thing.
You had definitely better watch out in the district tournament, and I'm gonna tell you why, because they've got 2 guys that are each capable of going for 20 or more on any given night, and if they both decide to do it on the same night, it could be a long night. Also, they've got a big kid in the middle, Max Jocelyn, who is kind of their rim protector, and he'll step away and knock down some threes as well. This Spring Hill team could do some damage in the postseason. I wouldn't want to see them. Exactly.
Watch out. And that's the first time we've been able to say that in a long time, though, and I'm excited that Spring Hill has found some guys that can bring back a little bit of that history that they have there.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got a pretty good one.
Yep.
I mean, our Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint player or athlete of the week this week, and obviously mtbj.org. Make sure to go check them out.
Our MTBJ Southern Middle Tennessee athlete of the week is Columbia Academy junior Griffin Cooper. Averaged 23.7 points in 3 games last week, scored a career high 24 points against Franklin Grace Christian in one of those 3 wins. And so Griffin Cooper is our MTBJ athlete of the week. Congrats to him.
And if you check out that ad in Main Street Murray's newspaper, you'll see several other athletes who were nominated. Coaches are submitting those nominations. So please, if you're out there, coaches, you have someone you'd like to submit for that MTBJ Athlete of the Week award. Doesn't matter what sport it is. Make sure you give Mo a shout, M. Patton at mainstreetmediatn.com. You know how to get in touch with Mo. You got his cell phone number. It ain't hard.
Get at me.
He's given you every possible avenue to reach him, including carrier pigeon.
Help us help you.
So there's that. All right, we're going to take a short break here. When we come back, the NFLPA announced their top fives at each position today. And, well, let's just say there's some
Let me ask
glaring-
you, is there going to be some trash can juice?
yes, there will be trash can juice for the first time in a long time, but glaring omissions in this. So we'll get to that and AP polls for each boys and girls in each class in both divisions. All of that on the other side of the break. Stick around. Main Street Sports Day returns after this.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
You can come to me, Justin. It's fine. Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. I'm Chris Yow. Mo is coming back soon. No big deal. We are going to get into the NFLPA as they announced their top 5 players at each position today. Justin, can we go to the second slide first? Let's go to that one first, because at least they got some semi right. And before we get out of that, I want to show Mo. But I tweeted this, and as National Girls and Women in Sports Day was yesterday, one of the biggest knocks on women in sports is that they never played the game. Well, let me just tell you that these rankings just go to prove that just because you play the game don't mean you know shit. I'm just here to tell you. I don't care. But what we are going to look at, Mo, first are the players all pro in it by the NFLPA players, safeties, and interior defensive linemen.
Now, these are selected by
the players. So Kevin Byard, number 2, free safety in the league. They probably got that one right. I mean, he's on the list. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he's the second best, but he's on the top 5 list.
Top 5, yeah.
He's in the top 5 wherever you put him.
In whatever order, yeah, top 5.
And interior defensive lineman Jeffrey Simmons tied with Javon Hargrave for 5th.
Okay, so he's top 6.
I think he's probably better than a couple of these folks on the list. I think he's as good, if not better, than Jonathan Allen and Quinnen Williams. Quinnen Williams and Jonathan Allen, are those both Alabama guys?
Quinnen Williams is.
Yeah, Jonathan Allen I know is. So if you know Quinnen is, and I know Jonathan Allen is, and I guess they both are.
Yes. Yes, they are.
I thought they were. And that just, I mean, that's not unusual. I mean, that's linebackers and D linemen. That's where Alabama's made their bread for years and years. But Jeffrey Simmons on the list, as he should be. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's any question there. Now, let's go to the other 2 positions. Top 5 running backs. You're telling me that the backup running back in Dallas is better than a guy who's run for 1,500 yards in three different times in the last 5 years.
Now, I'm going to tell you this. Tony Pollard is good.
Okay.
Tony Pollard is really good.
Okay. Josh Jacobs won the rushing title this year by about 120 yards over Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry didn't even play the last game of the year or the next to last game of the year. Didn't play.
I don't know. I mean, again, I don't think there's any argument with Josh Jacobs.
No, he's on the list.
Certainly on the list. Nick Chubb is on the list, but I don't know how Pollard, McCaffrey, and Barkley are all ahead of Derrick Henry.
They're not. They're not better running backs. Christian McCaffrey is a better athlete, maybe. He catches the ball out of the backfield better than any running back I know of. But he's not a better run. Anybody who watched the Titans this year, any single soul who watched the Titans this year, if you understand what Derrick Henry had to do to get to 1,500 yards.
Well, I mean, if you, like you said, if you watched the Titans this year and you watched Derrick Henry and you watched the offensive line that he operated behind,
the fact that he was even in the 1,000-yard range is a miracle.
Yeah.
He's the best running back in the league, and there's no question about it. I don't care. This is bullcrap. It doesn't make any sense to me. You can't sit here and tell me that, I mean, these are guys that clearly don't look at numbers, or maybe they do.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. And I will tell you this because, you know, to some degree, I've been in the position when I was an AP top 25 voter. It's like, you know, college football writers probably see less college football than anybody because you are at your game, you're covering your game, you're writing about your game. You know, you have to make a real big effort to see other football. And by the same token, how much football are football players watching?
Well, at least they're watching film on their opponents. And I mean, you would think that at least 12 other teams have seen the Titans. Half the league almost. I don't understand how you can look at this and tell me that he's not on the list.
Yeah. And this other panel over here.
It's been all off season long. The disrespect to Ryan Stonehouse, a rookie who broke a 50-plus-year-old NFL record.
70, was it not?
It might have been. I don't know. It was more than 50. That's all I can tell you. Well, hell, 50 is only, 1980? So I guess, I guess it probably was 70. I think 50 years ago was 1950, Mo.
There you go.
You got to remember that. I forgot that we're 20 years into 2020, into the 2000s. But the disrespect that this man is getting is ridiculous. He had the, what was it? Third best net punting average in the NFL.
Who is AJ Cole?
He's the Raiders kid who got sent to the Pro Bowl.
Oh, so he's in the Pro Bowl. Oh, okay.
This is insane. And Stonehouse tweeted the other day, why do y'all keep giving me ammunition? This dude's going to punt. He's going to have a 90-yard punt next year. He's just going to.
He's capable.
I mean, my God.
He's certainly capable.
What are we doing, guys?
It's Tennessee. Screw it. You know.
Absolute trash can juice, these two.
Yeah.
They've done everything they can to try and make Derrick Henry not the best running back in the league for the last 3 years,
Mhm.
despite him running for 2,000 yards 2 years ago.
Yep.
I mean, disrespect is one thing, but boy, it's just
I mean, I don't know what it is that
it's not ignorance. That's why it's a problem.
they want from him.
The problem is it's not ignorance, and that's the issue. It is they are willfully making these lists. They are willfully not putting Derrick Henry in the top 5 of a voting panel. They're willingly going on television and saying that what's Jonathan Allen, or what's the kid from not Jonathan Allen, the kid from Indianapolis.
Oh,
is he the best running back in the league? He wasn't even close.
Can't even remember his name.
He had one good year. This guy's Derrick Henry's been doing this consistently since December of what, 18?
Yeah. Jonathan
Consistently.
Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Since 2000, he didn't start being good until December of 18. Because that's when Mike Vrabel said, oh, we got to give this guy the ball 20 times a game. And when we do, we're successful. And they did that for the next 4 years.
Right.
And had the offensive line not been so bad that it wouldn't have mattered who was back there. I mean, he still ran for 1,500 yards behind possibly the worst offensive line in the history of the NFL.
No doubt.
Anyway, I digress. Done with that. NFLPA can go jump off a cliff and break its big toe. I don't know. Let's talk about some other. And look, speaking of rankings, the AP polls are the AP polls. You're looking at records and who teams beat, and you're hoping you're doing your best. So, and I'm not giving any grief to the guys who are or women who are putting these AP polls together, because the fact is that it's hard. I've tried to do it. It's difficult. So kudos to them for even voting.
But
so we go to the polls now, the boys poll, and Justin can bring it up whenever he gets a chance. Not a big deal, but in Class 4A, Bartlett down to only one first place vote. Independence grabbing 8 this week after going 22 improving to 22-3. Hillsboro, who has been really, really good all year long, sits at 18-3, and they're number 2, Mo. Gallatin up to number 8. And our aforementioned Blue Raiders down in Cleveland grabbing 18 votes this week.
Yeah, they might be the best team down that way.
Bradley Central's at number 7.
I'm trying to grab
That's not ideal.
I'm trying to grab Bartlett's record here, or schedule here. They lost twice at the Red River Hoop Fest in Texarkana.
So safe to say they probably lost to some pretty solid schools.
They lost twice in the battle in the Bluff. I'm sorry, once. Lost to Memphis East 69-66 in Battle in the Bluff. They lost to Combine Academy of North Carolina. They lost in the All-State Sugar Bowl Classic Championship to Olympia of Florida by 5. Lost 2 of 3 games at the Bass Pro Shops Tournament of Champions out in Springfield, Missouri. And then they lost last Friday 68-61 to Houston. So
all right.
So what I'm telling you is they have lost 2 games to Tennessee competition.
Well, I think that probably has something to do with it. I mean, if they were undefeated against Tennessee competition, I think it'd be hard to keep them out of number 1. But if you're doing what you're doing. It doesn't really matter, but I can see how that might make a difference.
Yeah.
No.
And it'll be interesting to see, and like you said, it doesn't matter because there is a tournament at the end of the year.
I just like that Germantown beat them and has a better record than they do, and is still sixth versus third. So you figure that out.
Nah, that's okay.
We move
Meanwhile,
on down go ahead.
Hang on just a second, because Independence's 3 losses are to Webb, Bell Buckle, Good Pasture, and Franklin,
who they just avenged the loss against, despite
in
they shorthanded Franklin.
fashion. Yeah,
but shorthanded Franklin, and then the other 2 to D2 teams. So it's kind of like, they've lost. They lost one game, and it was in Florida to a team they've since beat.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see Independence being there. I really can. They've certainly not played the level of competition that Bartlett's played.
No.
Hillsborough very good as well, by the way. In case y'all haven't noticed, y'all need to go watch the Burrows if you get a chance. I promise you. You will not be upset about it.
No.
Moving to 3A. We've got, again, we don't have a whole lot here. It looks like Lawrence County's dropped down to 7th at this point after losing again to Page on the road. And so they continue, but that's the only school that we have really in our area. Obviously, Stone Memorial, Livingston Academy. That's about it. But Dyersburg and Dyer County, how about that? 9 and 10.
That is pretty crazy.
So somebody over there is making sure that they get their votes, huh? Hey, I don't blame them. I don't blame them at all. Class 2A. We roll on. East Nashville, obviously. Fairview still sitting there at number 2. They lost to Dixon County. We thought that might make a difference, Mo. It did not. They stayed. The Yellow Jackets do at number 2.
Yeah, I'm a little shocked. It looks like there may have been some losses behind them, because Chucky Doak fell from 3rd to 6th. Douglas
Kingston
out of Memphis. Yeah, Douglas out of Memphis went from 4th to 5th. So and Kingston and Cascade both moved up. Cascade up from 6 to 4. So yeah, like I said, there must have been some other more critical losses behind the Yellow Jackets, and them losing to a 4A team and being 2A. So kudos to the voters for being that nuanced. Yeah.
No doubt. Gatlinburg, Pittman, and Power Center Academy are tied for 10th or 9th, I guess. Anybody else receive votes going down a little bit? I don't know if they did.
Alcoa and Tyner.
Alcoa and Tyner both got votes in 2A. In 1A, it's Middleton, number 1. Been number 1 pretty much all year. Clay County, Richland is at 4th, and Santa Fe at 10th. And you saw them last night. The two of those 2 teams played. Richland getting a 14-point win at home. They play again, though, don't they?
No, they're done.
Okay.
Richland beat Santa Fe 54-33 at Santa Fe back on January 6th. So they are done for the regular season.
Right.
They are done.
Gordonsville, East Robertson, Eagleville, all finding their way into the top 10 as well. Eagleville moving up from 8. East Robertson holding steady at 6. McKenzie down to 5th, and Gordonsville and McKenzie kind of doing a little swapperoo there.
Yeah.
And Richland moved down from 3rd after losing to
Wayne County.
That's right. So nobody else received votes. D2 polls in Class A or Class AA, sorry. Briarcrest and Brentwood Academy swapping first place votes, but Briarcrest getting the top spot by 3 points MBA in there, Knox Webb, and Christian Brothers with CPA and Knox Catholic, as well as MUS, also receiving votes. So that D2 2A or D2 AA tournament is going to be fun to watch. In Class A, you can go on down. Good Pasture, Lausanne maybe, but right now, I mean, to me, it's Good Pasture and everybody else.
That's kind of the way it feels at this point. Hey, look down there at others receiving votes. Finally,
all right. Columbia Academy getting some love there as they fall behind FACS, Davidson Academy, and Kings Academy. But that's good for them. Yeah. That means there's somebody's got them in the top 5 somewhere. So looks like several folks.
Folks are starting to pay a little bit of attention to the Bulldogs. So
there you go. And then we move to the girls' side, Class 4A. Let's see here. I know it take a second to get there because we have 2.
No changes in the top 8 from last week.
No. And Bartlett moves up from 10th, and then Gallatin moves in after being unranked. Somebody moved out. Whoever was 9th last week moved out and didn't get 12 or more votes. So they must have had a rough week, whoever that was.
Moved out decisively. Yeah.
Other teams, Coffee County moved down because I guess they lost. No, they didn't move. I'm sorry. They're right there. The top of this, goodness gracious, look at this. 2 unbeatens, a 1 loss, a 2 loss, a 2 loss, a 2-3 losses. This is insane. 3 losses.
Oh, it's Rockvale that fell out.
And
I don't know what they did last week, but yeah, they are the team that was there that isn't there.
That's not good news. Moving to 3A. Creekwood tied with Elizabethton at 4. Lincoln County at 8. That's 20-2 on the year, coming in from being unranked. Somebody finally realized that they still play basketball down there in Fayetteville.
Right.
So congratulations to them. Moving to 2A. Justin's dealing with a lot of things right now, and I think he's getting it fixed. But Westview still undefeated. York Institute grabbing a number 1 vote, though. The defending state champs. Alcoa, Gatlinburg, Pittman, Cheatham County at 8, and Summertown. They lost to Loretto this week. They lost
to Loretto last Friday.
Yeah, so
they lost 49-40 last Friday. So I'm sure that precipitated that slip from 7 to a tie for 9. So.
And then Class A,
Wayne County and everybody else.
Richland still in there. McKenzie, and that's pretty much it. And D2A, starts at 2A, sorry. Innsworth and Briarcrest at the top there. Innsworth looking fairly solid. Free your gut. And then CPA as well. And in Class A, as it should be, Webb, Bell Buckle, and everybody else. They beat Nashville Christian earlier this week pretty decisively, so that should make a difference if anybody's looking at that next week.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to take something really special to prevent Webb from winning the D2A state championship this year, I think. I feel like that's a pretty good limb to go out on.
Yeah. Good luck to you guys if you're out there and you're trying to beat Webb Buckle.
Yeah.
And Middle Tennessee Christian grabbing votes as they're pretty darn good too. All right. That is your AP polls. And we'll get to the TV voice of the Nashville Predators, Willie DAUNIC, on the other side of a break here. So stick around on Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Back after this.
It's time to get tickets for the Nash Vegas Casino Night at Auction presented by King Jewelers. It's Wednesday, February the 8th at Bridgestone Arena. This year's theme is reverse retro, so break out the Musters jerseys and Y2K fashion. Challenge Roman Yossi to a game of blackjack, or join Ryan McDonough as he rolls the dice at the craps table. Mix and mingle with the players and Preds personalities while bidding on auction items and tasting food from local restaurants. All proceeds benefit the Preds Foundation. Visit NashvillePredators.com/gala.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think about calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that can happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone.
Hockey in Music City just hits different. It's one big honky-tonk party. It's the sea of gold in the crowd. The goals, the saves, the celebrations. It's an experience like no other. Don't miss a minute of the action this season. Visit NashvillePredators.com/tickets to get your seats today. That's NashvillePredators.com/tickets. And we'll see you at Bridgestone Arena.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We are joined by Willie DAUNIC, who is the voice of the Predators on Bally Sports, and we appreciate you taking some time with us today. Willie, will you be challenging Roman Yossi to any blackjack hands as the commercial may have suggested?
Yeah, I think it's an option, but it's probably an option I'm not going to take because poker is not my thing. So it is funny when we go to Las Vegas, who you see out there in the masses trying to, jump in there, do as the Romans do. But I usually don't. I usually don't partake in that.
Probably
a man must know his limitations, right, Willie?
That's right. You got to know your strengths and weaknesses.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry about that. Willie, the All-Star break is kind of an awkward time, I guess, but at the same time, these guys need to get off their feet and that kind of thing, and it's nice when you're able to go into it with some momentum like the Predators are right now.
Yeah, they're playing very well, and that is the thing. Like, we've now sat here for about a week without a game, and their next game is still not for several more days. We haven't even started the All-Star weekend yet. So it's going to be sort of a distant memory, whether they were playing well or not. When they come out of this All-Star break, it'll be, I think, 11 days between games. And so that is going to be what they're going to try to do, and that is recapture the good vibe that they had in the final 3 games before this break hit. But I think it's going to be a challenge for every team. It's, most of the league is on a bye now, and there'll be other teams that are on a bye on the other side of the All-Star weekend. But Nashville's still got their work cut out for them if they're going to make the playoffs. But they did end up, playing some really good hockey in the final 3 games.
And it's something that Chris in particular has talked about, rest versus rust. I mean, it's a long season, and it's nice when you can get some time off. But again, when you have had those good vibes from playing as well as you did coming into the break, you don't necessarily want to stop playing, do you?
Yeah, that's probably true to a large extent. And this is something that the players negotiated. They wanted this break in the schedule. So it's up to them as pros, I think, to use that time wisely. Take advantage with your families and go somewhere and take the break and recharge your batteries. And then in those days leading up to the first game, especially where the Predators are in the standings, they just can't afford to ease into it. So I think they have to take all the advantages that a break give you and then really be on point when they come back. And I would say that different years, they've had a varying degree of success or non-success with that. And I think every team has got that challenge. Last year, I didn't think they came back sharp, and it took them a couple games to get going. So I think that'll be in the back of their mind when they come back and be ready to get ready to play Vegas coming up.
And that's what, when you start looking at the back half of this season, it's certainly not easy. The Predators have not given themselves any room for error either. It's pretty much you're going to have to win a lot of games and garner a lot of points if you want to get to that 96 that you think probably gets you into the postseason. How does this team take this break and figure it out? Obviously, they had a meeting mid-January, and things seem to have been gotten better since then. How do they find their way into the postseason?
If you look at where they are, they basically have to pass two teams to get into the playoffs, somewhere in there. We know that the top three from each division, the Central and the Pacific, will get in. Then there's two wild cards, and they're 3 points behind the second wild card. They're also 4 points out of third place in the Central. So there are definitely some teams that they can catch. You'd certainly rather be above the line going into this break than below it. They do have games in hand on some of them. I've tried to do some tracking on this. And the last time I was on with you guys, that was at one of the low points. They had lost, I think, 5 in a row. They lost the next night in Denver. They lost 6 in a row. But even with that stretch, this team is 19-10-5 in their last 34 games. And it's just so happens that they have 34 games left. So they're really trying to dig out of the hole that they dug after they came back from Prague. But if you take a look, 19-10-5, that's a lot of games, and I think they've done some good things in there. It's been pretty frustrating because they've been chasing teams throughout that whole time. But when you look at a guy like Ryan McDonough, I think he's gotten much more comfortable, much more effective over that time. They've discovered some young players like Cody Glass that have really helped them. Juuso Parssinen, another really young center that's going to be around for a long time, a 7th round pick that looks like he's going to stick. So they found some things that have helped their game. The last thing that has to round into form, and this was the theme with you guys last time that I stressed, is those top guys, especially at the forward position, they've got to pull their weight. And the meeting you referenced really addressed that more than anything else. When they lost to St. Louis in that one game before the break, they won 5 out of the last 6 before the break. The one game they lost was against St. Louis, and it was awful. It was a bad performance. And that's when they had the meeting the next day. And if you look at it, who really shined in those last 3 games? Matt Duchene did. Ryan Johansson played well. Mikhail Granlund, Philip Forsberg. If I would circle those 4 guys, as you tell me how those 4 guys do, and I'll tell you how the last 34 games go, because I think a lot of the other things are really coming around. So it's a long-winded answer, but I think that's the last icing on the cake. I think if the top players have a good, solid second semester, if you will, I think they'll find their way back in the postseason.
Willie, does 19-10-5 get it done?
19-5 in the last 34 would give them 97 points, which is exactly what they had last year. It's hard to know exactly what the number is going to be. For example, St. Louis, which was a team that was right on the bubble when Nashville went to St. Louis and got beat badly. St. Louis is 0-5 since that game, which is pretty interesting. They haven't won a single game since then. Nashville is 3-0. But right now, the feeling in St. Louis looks like they might look to trade players. Now, we'll see. They could win 5 in a row, 6 in a row, and change everything. Vancouver just traded their best player, or best center, I should say, in Bo Horvat. So they look like, and they just changed coaches. They're going in a different direction. So when you look at it, St. Louis is on the borderline, but if you count them as maybe turning in the other direction, that would be 10 teams fighting for 8 spots. So that's really what it comes down to. There's going to be injuries that play a part in this. Vegas just lost their captain and best player, Mark Stone, indefinitely. He has his second back surgery in the last year, and that's not good news, for somebody with a bad back. He is really one of their heartbeat guys. So that's going to affect them. Who knows what's around the corner for Nashville with that? You have to have a little luck staying healthy. So there's a lot of things that could contribute to it. But I think I'd take my chances with 97 or 98 points of getting in. So I think that's around what it's going to take. 19, 10, and 5, somewhere in that neighborhood. If they could find a way to win 20, there's going to be some of those games that go to overtime. How many of those do you win? Can you get a couple points in a shootout? I mean, that might be the difference in between getting in and not getting in.
I was taking a look at the standings here. It's interesting. Vegas has actually lost 4 in a row as well before they come in here.
Since Stone got hurt, which was January 12th, I think they're 1-6-3. I think if I've got that right. So they've really taken a free fall. So there's going to be some of this, right? There's going to be a team that's played really well to this point that hits some hard times, and there might be a team in the East or the West that makes a great run, and the Predators will fit on that spectrum somewhere. I think what they're hoping for is that they have found their formula, and they have learned what they have to do to be successful, and if they can stick to that formula, they hope that will be good enough. Because look, those are the expectations, right? Their expectations were to get to the playoffs and be able to win in the playoffs. It wasn't just to get back to the playoffs again. So they're fighting to get back to what their goal has been all along and the way they're built. They're not a rebuilding team. They're a team that's gone through the competitive transition, the competitive rebuild, as they've talked about it amongst themselves. And so they added Nino Niederreiter. They added Ryan McDonough. So this is a team that expects to make the playoffs. That's how they're built, and so they're trying to make sure that happens.
I think that was my biggest question. Is now that you've hit the All-Star break, this past off season, you really felt like you thought you improved the team, especially defensively, and yet you kind of find yourself in the same spot you were last year. And a lot of that has to do with, how poorly Matt Duchene played in the beginning of the season. And now that he's kind of come on, like you said, it feels like this team is showing you what we expected during the offseason. Now, it's not too little too late. Matter of fact, obviously peaking at the right time is super important. We've seen this team go from the 8th playoff spot to the Stanley Cup. So it can be done.
Yeah, you have to play your best hockey at the end of the season for sure. But you have to get there, right? You have to get into that tournament. But you're right. I mean, they're behind where they were last year. They know that. And so they've got to keep playing well. They've got to hope that the worst is behind them. And they've got to be a little lucky staying healthy because, it's hard if teams could be derailed by the injuries. That's what happened to Vegas last year, and they're having some bad flashbacks of that right now, especially with Stone hurt. But getting back to, you used Matt Duchene as an example, and I think if you take every team, where did they invest the money? Where are the guys that are going to make $7-8 million, $9 million? If those guys don't play well, it makes it really hard to have a good season. Let's use Winnipeg as an example. Winnipeg's had a really good year so far this season. Last year, it was the same guys, the top guys, Mark Scheifele, Blake Wheeler, on down the list, Pierre-Luc Dubois. They didn't have nearly as good a seasons last year, and they were a middling team that missed the playoffs. This year, all those guys to a man have rebounded and are having good seasons. So that really shows you, show me a team that's best players are having good years, and you're gonna see that reflected in the standings. So I really was encouraged the way Duchene and Johansson in particular, and Mikael Granlund is a third guy that I didn't think was having a good season at all. He's shown some signs of life in these last couple of games. That watch those guys. How did they play in the last 34? If they're playing well, and all of them had pretty good years last year, then I think that's really going to lead them to where they want to go. If it doesn't happen, then they're likely going to fall short. I don't want to put it all on their shoulders, but I think those are the guys that are going to swing it one way or the other because, let's face it, those guys make up about a third of the payroll. Duchesne, Johansson, Forsberg, and Granlund. So that's a third of your resources, right? And 4 guys. Those guys have to bring something to the table. If they do well, your team's going to do well.
More money, more problems, huh, Willie?
Yeah.
Willie DAUNIC, the voice of the Nashville Predators, the television voice of the Nashville Predators, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Willie, the Preds play 6 of their 10 games in February in the friendly confines of Bridgestone Arena. How much of a difference do you feel like that makes?
I think that's an interesting section you're pointing out, Mo, because you've got 10 games pretty much. You got about a month until the trade deadline hits. And so, look, if you don't do well in those 10 games and you sink further down, then I think if you're the general manager and you're doing your job, you probably have to take a look and say, look, if it's not going to happen, I got to do what I got to do and play for assets that might help us down the road. You have no choice but to do that. So the players will decide. And if you're doing well on the other side and you jump up in there, then maybe you add a piece or two. Now, I don't think they're going to make a big move to add much. They don't have a ton of room in the salary cap. They might make a depth piece trade here and there. The salary cap around the league is pretty tight. So I don't think right now you're going to see a ton of movement. But I do, if you take a look at some of these games, they've played well at home recently. They've won 5 in a row at home. Their record at home after a slow start has been very good. UC Saros has played fantastic, really, wherever he's played. And so I do think this next month, where you've got some games at home here, it's a good opportunity, I think, to make a nice run and improve your position at the trade deadline.
Tuesday night, 7 o'clock, Golden Knights at Nashville will be college night for Tennessee State. So you can get you a TSU cap if you come in and get the co-branded caps. That's always fun. But my next question was going to be trade deadline. So thanks for answering that before I needed to get to it. You read my mind. You saw me looking it up. But other than that, it looks like the Predators are in a good spot to control their own destiny. So we look forward to that. Again, they play Vegas on Tuesday and then next Saturday up at Philadelphia. Willie, we appreciate you taking some time with us today. As always, it is a pleasure, and we get smarter about hockey each time.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Always good to join you.
Thanks, Willie.
All right. We will take a short break here in just a second. Mo, I didn't want to get into it while he was on because they pay his salary, but Valley Sports is in a bit of a pickle, it appears, as they are facing bankruptcy.
Oh.
So, yeah, not great for the local teams, Braves, Preds.
Yeah.
I'm curious how that's all going to play out because, we all know Bally and Dish don't have a deal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know that personally. They're not on YouTube TV. They tried this. They're trying this streaming service, which if they would just make it $10, I'd pay it, but I'm not paying 20. I'm not paying 20. Not happening. 10 I'll pay. Now, during baseball season, I probably will pay 20. I'm not going to because I'm going to drop Netflix anyway after they make the password sharing go away, cuz if I don't even watch it. I only pay for it because my mom and the kids watch it. So if she can't use my password, then I guess she's just going to have to get her own, and I'm going to drop that and pick up Bally, and I'll be in good shape.
There you go. There you go. Reallocate your finances.
There you go. You got to do what you got to do. But they're facing bankruptcy, and I think that's kind of that's a big deal right now.
That can't be good.
No, I mean, I 6 hours ago, Sports Pro Media said that Major League Baseball has rejected Bally Sports RSN streaming proposal. So they were.
I wonder how this impacts their search for a Braves play-by-play announcer.
It's got to impact it in some way, right?
Is there a hiring freeze? Maybe it will be Francoeur and Moylan just in the booth, just talking.
Chilling.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess they could probably move some folks around, but I mean, you got to bring somebody up now. I guess at some level, but who knows? Diamond apparently asked Major League Baseball for the ability to stream games in alternative ways in order to sell its packages covering just the weekends or the final innings of games.
Just the final.
Yeah, you get the last three or something.
We joined this game already in progress.
So
that's I guess that's coming up with some unique alternatives.
I'm shocked by this. I think it's gonna bear watching to see how this plays out in obviously on the backside. So just throwing that out there. All right, we're gonna take a break. We have a couple of things to get to. Vols hoops. Oh man, we forgot to pull that. We forgot to throw that up there, Justin. Completely forgot. That's what we get for not going through the entire.
Maybe he's watching still. There you go. Yeah. What are they?
Congrats, Willie.
That's right. Congrats to Willie. All right, we will take a break. When we come back, Vols hoops, Bama football, and that's not, and much more. So stick around. Main Street Sports Today returns after this.
Walmart Supply Chain is hiring in Lebanon. Earn up to $22.25 an hour when you join our new fulfillment center. Enjoy competitive pay and premium perks, including 100% paid college tuition, 401k match, flexible schedules, a free Walmart Plus membership that includes discounts, and free Paramount Plus, paid time off, and so much more. Fulfilling work starts right here. Text JOIN to 240-240. That's JOIN 240-240 to apply now.
This is Chris Yow with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. She's on Thinking Out Loud, presented by Regions, and Out of Pocket with Alyssa Lang. It is, in fact, Alyssa Lang.
I'm a little nervous. I'm going to lower the bar for guests now.
Oh, no.
Apologies in advance. It sounds like
SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey.
You got that radio voice.
I do.
It's a good sound.
Thanks for radio too.
As do we. And then here's the other thing. You guys, you're spot on with the name. Everybody wants to be on Main Street. Everybody wants to be on Main Street.
And we reach every Main Street in Middle Tennessee, Coach.
Yeah, that's it. So
Perfect.
when you are on Main Street and you are moving,
you gotta love it.
Like you're moving. I was impressed.
I'm glad someone. Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. Mo, Tennessee had everything in front of it last night and blew it. I mean, they blew it. There's no other way to put it. They blew it. And we talked about it.
You can't lose to that team.
You can't. We talked about it off air that, this team doesn't deserve the benefit of the doubt. I mean, based off of its history in the postseason, based off what you've seen this year, I mean, Kansas can lose a couple games and get the benefit of the doubt. This team can't.
No, because they don't take care of business consistently. We talked coming out of that Kentucky loss about how they needed to go and drop the hammer on some folks. They played a great second half at Mississippi State. They went and handled LSU for 40 minutes. You know, they won that game against Texas the other day at TBA, but then you have a slip up at the O-Dome or whatever they're calling the facility at Gainesville now, you know, and it's like you have to start all over again, re-earning that street cred, so to speak. But, you know, I think what bothers me most about it is, you know, Joe Lenardi, supposed bracketologist, had them as a number 2 seed yesterday, and Wes Rucker and a number of other folks, including yours truly, kind of railed on him for that. And then they go out and they lay a 67-54 egg at Gainesville. So, I mean, it's tough to really put a lot of faith in this team. And, you know, BVS is real.
No kidding. And he usually puts out he usually has a bracket out pretty much each day right now, and I haven't seen today's update yet, so be interested to see what that looks like when it comes down to it.
I don't know that I am.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's, you know, I don't think that they've fell out of a 2 spot. I mean,
no, I don't think they fell out of a 2 spot, but they've certainly not played into a 1 either.
No, they didn't elevate. Yeah, you're right. It's just the consistency, man. It's consistency. It's much like the Grizzlies. You know, they won 11 games in a row, and then they lost like, what, 5 or 6 in a row?
Right.
And, you know, you finally get the 1 win, but then you lose at home. And it's like, you know, if you had over that 17-game span, if you'd have won 2, lost 1, won 3, lost 2, you probably don't feel so weird. But when you win 11 in a row and then you lose 6 in a row, you're just like, what the heck's going on?
What are we doing?
And yet they went into that West Coast road trip, number 2 in the Western Conference, and are still number 2 in the Western Conference.
For all of that.
After all of that.
After all that.
Now, they've not beaten I want to go back to their schedule because the last time they beat a team in the Western Conference was Monday, January 16th, when they destroyed the Suns at home before that trip out west.
Oh, wow.
Since then, they are 0-5 against Western Conference teams.
That's not good.
No, I'm sorry, 0-6 because they lost to Portland last night.
No.
So Drew Hill, who asked, he said, Grizzlies fan check-in, how you feeling? I'm like, feeling like a move to the Eastern Conference would be phenomenal. That's how I feel.
There you go.
So,
yeah.
Anyway.
Can we get moved? Yeah.
Finally, real quick before we get out of here, it was reported earlier today, Mo, that Tommy Rees, the offensive coordinator at Notre Dame, is in contacts with Alabama to be their next offensive coordinator, and Bama fans are taking it super well.
They're taking it about like you would expect. Huh?
Yeah. So what if that's the case, though? If he becomes their offensive coordinator after Bill O'Brien, what does that say about the state of the Alabama program? What does that mean?
I don't know. I mean, it means something though, because Tommy Rees is the best option that Nick Saban can come up with.
I mean, you think about it: Sarkisian, Kiffin, hell, O'Brien's in the NFL. I mean, it's not like they've had bad offensive coordinators. It's wild, isn't it?
Until
now.
Yeah.
We can talk about it more tomorrow. We should talk about it more tomorrow. We will.
All right.
We got a lot to get to tomorrow, and we will do just that. Karen Booker from Trevecca will join us as they've got an informal Vandy reunion this weekend out of Trevecca. We'll talk to her about that and much, much more on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Appreciate you guys being here today. We'll be back at 2 tomorrow. See you then.